You think you hit a button and you don't hit a button. That's a good start. That's a fantastic start. Good work. You hit a button, you think you're activated. I thought I hit everything and I was wrong. Morning, Alex. Morning, Tom. Morning, Dell. Yes, thawing out. Apparently, by the end of the week here at Office HQ, it's going to be like 70. So we go from uh, I have the car cover on the car. We have two cars, but a one car garage. We're getting into that, Tom. That's going to be the lead. Uh, so I've got the car cover on the car. And of course, I've already had to cut one of the tie lines on the car cover because it didn't want to behave in 20-degree weather. But yeah, so we're going from having the car cover to packing the car cover to getting rid of the car cover and putting it back in the garage until we have to take it out again. So yeah, so that's the kind of weekend that we've been working with here. Here's the rundown for today. The rundown is as follows. We got stuff. Opening kickoff is coming up in just a little bit. So here's what we're talking about. Cristiano Ronaldo had some things to say. No, it's not a surprise, but we figured we'd go ahead and make fun of it anyway. Jerry World has an upgrade that they are planning for the world competition in 2026. And it's a lot. It's 9 figures to the left of the decimal. Opening kickoff is going to be news of the day involving Miggy. We do have some stupidity down here that we're going to be getting into in hour number one. We do have some like news and notes and things, just some housekeeping stuff that's going on here. Hour number two, we've got Bart. We've got Prem and Proper, the review with Maddie and Drew, where Maddie gets to think about possibly Miggy going to Saudi Arabia. And we have new CEO for Drew's club, and they go across town, which I didn't think you were supposed to do. You're going to the blue club to help out the red club, which was interesting. We've got all the stuff from there. Hopefully, Bart has recovered from his week of doing businessy things and being in the real world and can join us to start hour number two. We've got Camp Cupcake to talk about. We've got the one they lost to Slovenia to talk about. And it seems like, if the roster was supposed to be set up for looking at for things for the Olympics, maybe you should have started those guys instead of bringing them in like with 30 minutes to go and you're down a goal. I'm just saying. We've got Messi and Friends. We have an update, and we have news involving the roster. And it is for one friendly, you have one season-ending injury. So that's not the kind of average that you want to have, but they are looking at folks, and I'd love to know how they're going to fit it under the cap. But we'll catch up on all of that and anything else that's on your mind this morning. Almeria says they were robbed. Javier Tebas is saying, speaking of La Liga, that the clubs, the big clubs, they want theirs. And Javier Tebas is saying that the little clubs are supposed to be living off the scraps. So that's where we are. And anything else on your mind this morning, lay it out. It's a Reaction Monday. We're reacting from the weekend and getting you ready for another week. All right, housekeeping. Remember, Thursday. Yeah, we got West Ham and VAR. That's going to be probably hour two, Dell, with Jared Bowen and what happened there, considering that Bart is our resident referee. So, yeah, and if I forget, Dell, remind me to discuss the Jared Bowen incident with Bart and with Prem and Proper in hour number two. Yes, so we're going to be getting, the USA hour number two, Tom, with what's there. Thursday. If you have not signed up, sign up. Sign up for helping out the Southern Crescent and the mini pitch. It's on, it's the AST fundraiser. So go to Jason's Facebook. The Jason's Facebook page has details. SDH's Facebook page has liked and shared all the info. If you can make it to Top Golf, fantastic. Be a part of things. I'm still trying to hook up Bart's threesome with Abby so they can have a foursome there. And Atlanta Soccer Tonight is going to be there broadcasting. It's going to be a fun night. So if you can make it, great. If you can donate to the cause, great. If you can donate and make it, fantastic. That'd be great. So once again, Thursday, Top Golf, Northwest Atlanta. If you can be a part of it to help out the mini pitch project down in the Southern Crescent and our friends at Georgia Revolution, that'd be fantastic. Once again, if you can donate independently, great. If you can be there, great. If you want to play, fantastic. If you want to do choice D, all the above, even better. All of that. So we've got all those things. Also, we are getting close to the official announcement of we do have a price point, by the way, on the Marshall Islands scarf. We do have a price point. It'll be up on the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation website, and we'll do all the linking traditionally. We'll do that later this week. We do have a price point for it. It's going to be 25 pounds, or if you live like not in this country, $32 plus shipping for the Marshall Islands scarf to help them. And we're going to catch up with Justin Whaley, one of the coaches who's helping out the cause. We're going to catch up with him this afternoon, which will be morning Marshall Islands time. They are 17 hours ahead. So Justin knows the future. Justin knows what's going on in the future. We're going to catch up with Justin on tape about 1:30. And we'll have that on the network a little later on this afternoon. So we'll catch up and get your Marshall Islands update. But the Marshall Islands scarf up and rolling, and that will be $32 US plus shipping. The Abstermobile will probably take care of that locally, but it'll be up on the Marshall Islands site later this week. 25 pounds, $32 US to help out the Marshall Islands as they try to do things later in the year. October is what they're looking at up in the Four Corners in Arkansas. They're going to try and do some friendlies and catch up with some folks. All right, so I think that's all the housekeeping. Don't know when the kit launch is, Pars. That will be because the third has leaked in a couple of different places. Frankly, the Messi and Friends third, if it's going to go after the Miami Dolphins colors, is fantastic. But so we'll see. But, I mean, Tom, I may just go. Tom is saying he'd love to go Thursday. He's got to hit the road to get to Chucktown on Friday morning. But I may just go and hang out for a little bit and turn around and leave. So I'm probably going to donate, show up, not play, hang out for a little bit, turn around and go. So that's not – I haven't seen there were pictures that they're thinking like maybe the gold from the Olympics and stuff like that. There were pictures, Pars, they're out there someplace. It's like I saw it in a flash, and I know it exists. So somewhere, was it a fan concept? Well, if that was it, Alex, if they want to take that fan concept and run with it, kind of like what we're seeing with Christian Juszczyk, go for it. Fantastic. So third, kind of like we saw pictures. It might have been another fan thing, but anyway, haven't seen that much. All right. Opening kickoff. Let's talk Miggy. I know that everybody's going to put their fingers in their ears over this one. And Newcastle, we know they're in kind of concerns over FFP. I think they can only lose another $30 million over the next 2 seasons currently as things stand, or they're in violation of FFP. Newcastle has named their Kieran Trippier price. It looks like 13 to 14 million euro for the sale of him to Bayern Munich. So there's that. But then this morning, it was also put out there that Miguel Almiron might be heading to Saudi Arabia, linked with a move away from Newcastle. And so he's under contract through 2026. He signed a new contract back in 2023. And you have all of the Newcastle fans who are sitting there and going, what in the wide world of sports is going on here? But right now, it looks like Miggy is the name that might be the first one out. It could be Kieran Trippier, could be Miggy, could be both. Callum Wilson will not join AC Milan. They might be chasing after Giroud, Okafor, and Jovic, according to Fabrizio Romano. But right now, it looks like Miguel Almiron, 160 appearances for Newcastle since he showed up back in 2019. Al-Shabaab, according to Ben Jacobson. Ben, this time of year, is a must-follow on the Twitters. The 280-character app, @JacobsBen. We gave him some good barbecue recommendations when he was here for the summer series, and so he likes us. @JacobsBen. Here's all that is being said right now. Al-Shabaab and Newcastle have reached a provisional agreement. This is 2 hours ago. A provisional agreement over Miguel Almiron. Understood, Miggy's open to the move, but the deal is not done yet. So when you have somebody like, when you have a guy like Ben Jacobs who has been on the case for this, and he's a very, very busy man this time of year, when he makes a point to sit there and talk about Miguel Almiron, then it's something where you got to kind of put your your ear to the train tracks a little bit and keep an eye on this. Al-Shabaab is one of the 4 clubs that is not attached to the PIF. Take that information as you wish. But right now, and if memory serves, there is a bit of a sell-on where Atlanta United's concerned. And remember that fee was in the 30s. And then you get the little bit of a sell-on fee for Atlanta United. So keep an eye on this. FFP issues, like I said, they were announced to be in the neighborhood of $70 million. So you can only lose, I think, 105 over 3, I think, is the number that we're staring at. You have to average out 35 million over 3 or 105 over a rolling 3-year period. And since 75 of it has already been taken care of, 70 to 75, you can only lose or report another loss of, say, 30 to 35 million over the next 2 years if you're Newcastle. So Kieran Trippier out the door would help another 13 or 14 million euro. Miggy out the door would be an interesting price point. So we'll see what happens there. And I say this, once again, I mentioned Al-Shabaab as one of the 4 clubs not attached to the PIF currently. Alex, one of our resident Newcastleians, is imagining a connection that happens under the table if the connection isn't out in the open. Yeah, it's. I would venture that under normal circumstances. I mean, Alex, I'm right there with you. It's like being in a room and seeing something happen and going, yeah, there's probably a connection there somewhere, even though technically there is no connection. It's like you're at a party and the wait staff comes around with all of the champagne, the white wine, and the red wine on the plates, and they come in with their hands up and they have the perfect balance and everything. And the wait staff hands, like if I was there, the wait staff hands me like a Mountain Dew. It's like out of their hip pocket, they just kind of hand me a Mountain Dew instead. They know that I'm not. Or it's like for some reason they know that I'm not going to be drinking alcohol, or they give me a sweet tea or something. It's like they know that that's the deal. It's like, okay, we know he's not going to be drinking champagne, white wine, or red wine. We're going to hand him a sweet tea or a Mountain Dew. Here you go, John. That's kind of how I'm looking at it with the folks with running the league that we neither condone, endorse, nor really give a whole lot of coverage to in the sense of day-to-day. But, yes, I mean, Alex, you're spot on, though. Sad to feel cynical about these things, especially because I'm not a cynical person by nature. But with all of the evidence that we've had in place, involving this, that, you have to sit there and your spidey senses kind of go up a little bit. There's going to be over the next. There's already been the loosening of the rules in the Saudi Pro League about what you can do for your rosters and compiling players and bringing in those from outside of growing growing Saudi elements, the lower divisions and Saudi nationals that are playing in other places. They've already relaxed those rules. They're going to be chasing after Mo Salah. They're going to be chasing after Kevin De Bruyne. They're going to be investing more money over the next 12 months, once again, to try to improve the quality of the Saudi Pro League, which, according to CR38, is better than Ligue 1. We'll get into those quotes coming up in just a little bit since we're on a bit of a Saudi riff. But, Alex, I think you've got Alex, I think you're spot on. You're spot on in this, that we've seen all of this stuff. We've seen all of this material with the Saudi Pro League and everyone who's attached to the PIF, and they're the heavy hitters, and you're bringing in Karim Benzema, who's already mad, and he already wants to go, and Jordan Henderson, who came in and he got paid, and people got mad at him for not standing up to his original view set, and he wanted to go after 6 months, and now he's at Ajax, so he doesn't have to pay an extra £3 million in taxes if he was to go directly back to the Premier League. Everything attached to the Saudi Pro League naturally lends itself to skepticism. That's just literally, that's how we're wired right now because of everything we've seen. Hutch says putting the fun into fungible tokens. Oh man. But that's where we are with the Saudi Pro League. First they said, okay, so here's the league. We can throw all this money. There's also been talk that Neymar's contract is being torn up. Possibly, probably, maybe, who knows? But the point of the fact is the Saudi League is going to be investing more money into itself after they said they were going to cool it. They've changed their rules of engagement after they said this is what we were going to do. It shouldn't be a surprise. So nothing attached to anything involving that particular league should surprise us. And I think, Alex, to your point, and to your original point, we just have to be aware. Being skeptical is fine. That means that we're paying attention. And I think that's the key here in the overall. No, Emilio Pindell, players don't read newspapers. They don't. But the key here is to not let, I'm trying to avoid a split infinitive or my mama get mad at me. The point here is to continue to pay attention. Pay attention to the world going on around you. And when you see something like what we're seeing from that league that we neither condone nor endorse or give any kind of visual credence to, when you see them making moves like this, allegedly, possibly, probably with Mickey Almiron because of the FFP situation at Newcastle being what it is, and you having to work your bottom line. Bruno Guimaraes would really trim that margin. Instead, they'll go to Miggy. But that's the key here. You have to pay attention all the time. Don't throw up your hands and sit there and say, oh, they're just doing their thing. No. Oh, they'll stop. No, they won't. They're not. They'll stop. Everything's fine. No, let them. No. Not going to happen. And that lends us to our second story of the day. Obviously, we'll circle back to transfers and such. And the reminder of keeping an eye on the game around us. And it involves stupidity down here. Happened again this weekend. And if I'm Monkey Magnon, I'm beyond angry. It's not the first time, sadly, that it's gone down this way. Won't be the last, but once again, we have to continue to be vigilant about everything that's going on. In Serie A this past weekend, we had another round of stupid. AC Milan keeper Mikey Magnon walked off the field after being subjected to racist chants by Udinese fans during the Serie A match on Saturday. The match was suspended briefly in the first half. Milan scored to take a 1-0 lead. Milan about to take a goal kick. Magnon signaled to his teammates to stop, walked to the center ref, then walked to the sideline. We'll probably revisit this with Bart if Bart can answer the bat signal in hour number 2 as a part of reffing down here. Following the game, Magnon called for tough sanctions for those responsible. And this comes from our friends at the Four Letter, and thanks to Maddie for doing the digging. Magnan told DAZN, who had the post-match interview session, quote, and we may end up having to put the explicit rating on the show when we post it later. They made monkey noises, and it's not the first time it's happened to me. They must hand out very strong sanctions because talking no longer does anything. We have to say that what they're doing is wrong. It's not the whole crowd. Most fans want to cheer on their team and jeer you. That's normal, but not this. End quote. Continuing the copy from the Four Letter. Teammates attempted to console Magnan on the sideline, but the France international took his gloves off, walked down the tunnel. Magnan had also told the ref about racist monkey chants earlier during the match, prompting the announcement in the stadium asking fans to stop. Serie A game resumed after 5 minutes after suspension when Magnan and his teammates came back out. Milan won 3-2. Quote, I was upset to have to go into the changing room like that, but I had everyone's support, as you damn well should. Quote, we talked and then we made the decision to go back out on the field and make the appropriate response to win this game. I really didn't want to play anymore. But we're a family, and I couldn't leave my teammates like that. I'm going to continue reading the story from the four-letter wire copy. And Alex, much like what we were discussing with Liverpool, will be this next segment. FIFA president Gianni Infantino showed his solidarity with Magnan, called for measures to be taken in cases of racism. Beat 2, 3, 4. Quote, the events that took place in Udine and Sheffield Wednesday are totally abhorrent and completely unacceptable. There's no place for racism or any form of discrimination, either in football or in society. The players affected by Saturday's events have my full support, he said in a statement. It was released by our friends at FIFA Media. In addition to the three-step process, match stopped again, and match abandoned, we need to enforce automatic defeat for the team whose fans committed racism and caused the match to be abandoned, as well as worldwide stadium bans and criminal charges for racists. Media reports said Coventry midfielder Casey Palmer accused Sheffield Wednesday fans of racist chants during their match in the championship, which Coventry won 2-1. Milan said on the 280-character app, there's absolutely no place in our game for racism. We are appalled. We are with you, Mike. Liga Serie A condemns any form of racism. They posted on the 280-character app. Udinese will likely be hit with a partial stadium closure for their next home match. Udinese said in a statement on Sunday, we reaffirm our aversion to any form of discrimination and express our profound solidarity with the AC Milan player Mike Magnan in light of Saturday's deplorable incident at our stadium. Udinese will collaborate with all investigating authorities to ensure immediate clarification of the incident with the aim of taking any necessary measures to punish those responsible. Magnan was also subjected to racist chants in a Cagliari game 2 years ago. Racist incidents in Italy and European soccer. For years in Italy, fans have aimed racist abuse at Kevin Prince Boateng, Mario Balotelli, Romelu Lukaku, among others. I'm really biting my tongue. I understand it's a Monday, and I know that I'm over it. And I keep saying this. I legitimately say, I keep saying that I'm over it. But when I'm reading statements from those in power, that are the equivalent of, yes, this is bad. This must stop. And it doesn't. But yes, this must stop. Somebody else says it. This has to stop. But it doesn't. then you've got to get to the point, and I mean those in positions of power, those of us who get to talk about it and enjoy it on a daily basis, we're naturally fired up about all this stupidity. And that's why we've called this segment Stupidity Down Here. But Fourcard is absolutely correct. 0 days since the last racist incident in Italy. And what made him come back out, Dell, is that they had a meeting and they basically decided, yeah, let's go ahead. We support our teammate and let's go out there and, show them who's the boss, show them what's going on, and we'll go from there. That was the talk. But much like Fourcard and the sign, I feel like we're to the point now where we should have a sign here in Office HD about what Fourcard's talking about. 0 days since last racist incident. And treat it like a construction site where, you see 0 days since the last injury on this construction site. Literally have a sign like that. Because that's where we are. And the fact that we're doing this as almost a tongue-in-cheek joke is disappointing for everything that's associated with the sport. We know, those of us who talk about it on a daily basis and love it, we know something's got to be done. We know there are idiots around. But in positions of power, continually, oh, this is bad, this must stop. Then do something about it. The first official that has the testicular fortitude to literally call a match would be a good start. A fantastic start. Maddie's doing digging this morning, and she gets the kudos and the hat tip for this. A small group of fans have now claimed that there's a lack of proof that these chants actually happened, and they feel the situation has been blown out of proportion. Statement from the Udinese Amarcord group on Sunday via Football Italia reads, quote, 50 security cameras, microphones, officials, and the only one to have heard this mysterious racist abuse was Magnon. Oh, I mean, obviously we'll bookmark this, and the next time that Nick comes on, we will discuss this because Nick has the background in this where he can give us all of the perspective that we need when it comes to soccer over there. But when you have a group that, it's like, okay, we 50 cameras, and the only one to have heard this is Magnon. Yeah, that's fortitude, I'll tell you. That's confidence from the Udinese Amarcord. Yeah, that is definite fortitude. I will grant you that. I will absolutely grant you that. Stupid, and stupid for a triple. Rich, at this point, it's fans doing it just to mess with the players. Correct. I mean, we've talked about this, and I'll leave Rich's comment up because we've talked about it in other countries. We've talked about it in Liga MX specifically because of the chant, the goal kick chant that is idiotic. And it is done as a weapon. It's done as a weapon against your team. It happens literally. The fans in Mexico have been so mad at El Tri that when El Tri is losing matches, whether it's of meaning or otherwise, the fans take that chant, capital T, capital C, that chant, and use it as a weapon, knowing that if they continue it, the center ref should be under FIFA guidelines, forcing the teams to go off the field, forcing them to come back, get a second warning, and then the third time the match is suspended. That's what they want. It is used as a weapon when things go wrong. But it's also used as a weapon to try to throw an opponent off of their game. In soccer over there, in this current instance, we see what it's trying to do. You're trying to throw an opponent off their game. But in other countries and other instances, it is used as a weapon against your own side when you feel so distressed and aggrieved about your current national situation that you want to use that chant. You're that fired up against your own team that you use it. Soccer over there with the Magnon case is one thing. But with Liga MX, El Tri, it's something entirely different. With El Tri specifically, it is entirely different. It is used as a weapon. And that's where it can go. But the supporters group in this case, it's like, yeah, there are 50 cameras and he's the only one to hear it. That's real confident. It will be up to Udinese as a club to do the right thing, analyze all the cameras, analyze the game broadcast, go for it. Same for Serie A. Because if Serie A is going to put out the wallpaper that they did, if FIFA is going to put out the wallpaper that they did for the 9 gazillionth time, and nothing goes to change, then nothing will be different. We will continue to have, much like we're talking about with the sign, 0 days since last racist incident. We will continue to have stupidity down here as a segment. I would love for us to get to the day where we don't have stupidity down here as a segment on the morning show. I would love for that to happen. I don't see that happening. I'm gonna click on the FIFA statement because there's the link. FIFA Media. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically 4 paragraphs from FIFA. I guess because they're like verified, they can go for more than 280 characters. They're verified. FIFA Media is verified. Good for them. Players affected by Saturday's events have my undivided support. You'll pardon me as I say this somewhat tongue-in-cheek. The players affected by Saturday's events have my undivided support. Hand over my heart, my other hand in the air. Players affected by Saturday's events have my undivided support. We all need the relevant stakeholders to take action, starting with education in schools so that future generations understand that this is not a part of football or society. Can I take that class? Can I take that class for credit? Do it during PE, maybe? Let me keep going. And 3-step process, we mentioned that. Automatic forfeit, mentioned that. Like I said, that's the weaponized element of this. FIFA and football shows full solidarity to victims of racism and any form of discrimination. Once and for all, no to racism, no to any form of discrimination, end quote. Quoting Sherman T. Potter on MASH, horse hockey. Damn, this pisses me off that we have to talk about this. But to our original point, then I'll go back through the Twitch pitch and go through your comments coming up in just a little bit. But to the original point, if we leave it alone, it continues to grow. It's like the damn weed in the driveway. It's annoying. You sit there, you spray Roundup, and it goes away. It keeps coming back. It keeps waiting for you to sit there and either run out of Roundup and forget to go to Ace Hardware or just sit there and want to run over it and not have it do anything. It's a lot worse than a weed in the driveway, but you might understand my analogy, especially early in the morning when I haven't had the chance to caffeine up yet. But that's where we are. Udinese supporters calling out Mikey Manuel. Mikey Manuel, not the first time that he's been subjected to anything. To Rich's point, I just remember reading that La Liga fans were doing it to Vinicius Jr. because it was funny to them and a new way to get a player off his edge. Yeah, and how about hanging him from effigy, from an overpass? No to racism, no to discrimination. But you let stuff like that happen. Sure, we'll hang players from overpasses in effigy. That's great. That's a great way to back the talent that you have in the world game. Literally, this is like at the end of the original Ghostbusters, like the original Ghostbusters. Gozer the Gazarian is standing at the gate. And Dan Aykroyd's character is having a discussion with Harold Ramis, God rest his soul, and Ernie Hudson and Bill Murray. And Bill Murray's character goes, "Go get him, Ray." That's what this is. You have all of these people in positions of power. Go get him, Ray. Waiting on everybody else to make that first step. God bless America and all the ships at sea. This pisses me off. But we have to continue to have stupidity down here as a segment. When stupidity happens, we have to shine a light on it. We do our own part. Yes, it's frustrating as hell to talk about. Should we be talking about it? No. But we've got to keep shining lights on it and exposing it for the stupidity for what it is, and for those folks that are in positions of power who really could be doing something instead of, say, recommending, let's start in schools. You got to have empty stadia. Hey, you want to hit somebody where it hurts? I mean, like for the rest of the damn season, if it's found out, you hit Udinese in the pocketbook by having the supporters groups not be in that building. They might have probably already paid their season tickets. But you know what? You don't get to play. You get to be outside and break things instead. Empty stadia. That's a good start. Banning teams from competitions. That'd be another thing. Criminal charges. Oh, no, what a model thought that is. But I know it goes into that thought pattern of, okay, how are you going to enforce it? Get some of that James Dolan facial recognition technology that he wanted to try to, for the negative folks that go to Madison Square Garden and don't like his New York Knicks and say bad things about him. He was going to bring in facial recognition technology at Madison Square Garden. That's the kind of stuff we need. Just, yeah. Yeah, as you could tell, I'm slightly fired up this morning. Alex, Ian Wright put out a tweet about Milan players doing the right thing and walking out in solidarity. Joey Barton, king of don't speak on things you don't know about, telling Ian it isn't the right thing to do because obviously Joey knows all about the effects of racism and sexism. Joey Barton is the last person that should be able to tell Ian Wright what to say or do. Joey Barton is not worth the paper that he's printed on or the gear that he wears. Not worth a damn bit. Joey Barton is a sexist pig. And I'm being nice. I'm really being nice. He has no business being on any network, but you know that there will be places where he can say his stuff because that's how free enterprise works. I get it. But to say Joey Barton doesn't deserve the time of day from anybody. Frankly, I'd like to see him go one-on-one with Eni Aluko and see who wins. Get him on one of those little mini pitches. Eni Aluko versus Joey Barton one-on-one. I'll take any Aluko. That's just me. Morning, Harry. Yes, I'm fired up this morning, and I apologize. All right, so let me go back through. Let me go back through the comments and see if I missed anything. David, did Bart talk about new MLS pace of play 10 seconds stuff? No, we'll get into that. 10-second subs and all those kinds of things. Let's see. Happy day in Romaland. Yes, after the welcome back, Dorossi. 2 goals in 20 minutes, was it? Let's see. Dell, Miggy needs to talk to someone who's been there already before he regrets it. Yeah, but hey, Miggy's interested in going. I mean, it's a new frontier. I get it. It's a new place to go play, new place to experience. We'll see what happens. Ricky, Miggy to Saudi must be getting a bag. Well, I think that Newcastle, like our previous discussion, might be getting less of the bag, or at least shifting the resources of the bag, something like that. Pars, how solid do we think the rumor is of CR 18,000 and friends going back to the EPL? Saw that yesterday. I don't know. Who would take him? Who would take CR 38 at this point? That's the thing for me. And when you are when you're saying that the Saudi Pro League is better, God. CR 38. Okay, so he asserts that the league that he's in is superior to the French top flight during the Globe Soccer Awards. Amanda Davies at CNN was there for the interview. Quote, the Saudi League is not worse than Liga. I mean, the Saudi Pro League is more competitive than Liga. I can say that after 1 year spent there. We are better than the French League already now. Well, it's amazing what happens when you spend gazillion dollars. Ligue 1's official account shared a photo of Kylian Mbappe holding Ronaldo's face from a friendly when PSG and Al Nassr played a little over a year ago. PSG won at 5-4. Ha ha! So, 44 appearances, 38 goals, 13 assists since he showed up at Al Nassr. But yeah, it's better than Ligue 1. I mean, legitimately, it's probably more about the same if you think about it. Considering that the top is very top and the bad is very bad. Alex, truly believe Newcastle's trying to do things the right way and stay within the rules, even as the Premier League actively changes them to cut off the money. A real tightrope to walk to take advantage of any opportunity without overstepping. Dell, who's winning the Saudi versus MLS fight? I don't think it's a fight. I legitimately don't. I would focus on it this way. Focus on you. You deal with you. Because when you start to compare yourself with other folks, then you get bogged down in your own growth. We could say it about ourselves each and every single day. Don't compare yourself to X. Have the confidence in yourself to know that you're better than X in whatever we're talking about. But don't start comparing yourself openly to those kinds of things. Don't open yourself to those kinds of comparisons. It's not worth it. It's not worth the time, because then you start getting into headaches and you're like, Emma, is it really, you start overthinking what you're doing in the first place. Saudi versus MLS is not a fight. When you have the government basically throwing money at a problem or trying to create a business, it's an entirely different thing. And MLS has a quarter century head start. CR38 is going to say whatever he wants, but don't worry about the Saudi League. Saudi League wants to throw more money. Think about what happened to the Chinese Super League. The Super League did not work all that well, and China did it. China had to basically sit there and go, bruh, timeout. This ain't working. We're throwing like $9,000 gazillion at something, and it ain't working. Teams are going under. Just focus on yourself. Everything's fine. Pars on the solution. Stop and reschedule the game twice, then go to playing behind closed doors. You have to make a drastic change. I mean, you got to do something. And Alex, spot on. Love your neighbor. Love your neighbor. Everyone's your neighbor. Unfortunately, there are those of us in that circle that believe that, and then there are those who truly believe 180 degrees from that, and it's sad and it's disappointing. And once again, when we have stories about stupidity and stories about wrongs and things like that, that's why we put the sunlight on it. There's nothing better than fixing things that are wrong than putting sunlight on it. Because if you spread the sunlight and it continues to go and the sunlight continues to spread, everything shines. Did that make any sense in a philosophical way? Kefsi, Magnan should not have had to come back, and they should have gotten the Udinese should have still gotten the L and still say they support the loss of points. I'm after the and Magnan said, "Hey, look, went to him once, went to him twice, went to him 3 times. We finally went off the field. That third time should have been it. Udinese forfeit, game over, bye, goodbye." Dell and Rich, it is still racism and discrimination, absolutely. Dell, they have to make an example of racists. Do they ban these people for life or play behind closed doors? I think it has to be the latter because, and this is the one point that I've always tried to make, it's a great idea to ban people in these situations. First off, they ought to be criminally charged with the term that is as legally appropriate as possible. Whatever the crime is in that area, charge them with that crime. They should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law as it stands. I mean, don't make something up, but literally do this by the book. Do this by the book. Closed doors would work because, once again, you're missing game day revenue. You probably have the season ticket holders, they've already paid their season tickets. But if you were to do full houses and you ban individuals, the question that we've always had is, how do you keep those individuals from coming in the door? You got the guy with the Bobby Valentine mustache. He comes wandering in. Hey, you look like, oh, I'm not, that's my brother. That's not him. Like the soap opera thing with the evil twin. Like Hans and Drake Ramore from Days of Our Lives, if you're a Friends fan. Drake Ramore, Joey Tribbiani. Evil twin, Hans. They look the same, but they're different. How do you make sure that those folks don't get in the door? That's the biggest challenge. I mean, you can't treat it like the post office where it's 10 most wanted and you have like the laminated signs at every gate. If you see these people, they can't come in. That's the tough part. Sure, you can ban them for life. That'd be fantastic. It'd be a great thing to do in name. But how do you enforce it? That's the tough part. Kefsi says FTC UTD has the shirt for me. I will go look. Hutch wants to unleash biometrics and AI and start cataloging repeat offenders, banning them from stadia. I could see that. I could definitely see that. Maddie has sent me something, and we're gonna talk about this in reffing down here. Oh no! Oh no! It's, I guess Gaziantep and Trabzonspor, I guess. Oh my god! Guy got a card for not shaking the ref's hand. We'll get it. I think there's an initial bump, but we'll walk through that. Yeah, it is reffing down here. I'm having like multiple conversations now. If you thought I didn't have multiple personalities before, since Maddie is in and she's helping produce when she's not on the air, I'm now having off the air conversations on the air with Maddie while she's sending stuff to me and adding it to all the discussions. So it's like 9 different conversations going on. Maddie joins us at 10:30 with Drew. And so we got all this. We got all this stuff going on. Alex, speaking of Ghostbusters, reading the Geddy Lee autobiography, I have it. It's like 540 pages. It's like literally, it's like an inch and a half thick, 2 inches thick. Alex, get through it and tell me what you think. Getty was in class with Rick Moranis from K through 6. That's cool. Dell, the closed stadium will make the teams ban the people. I think, Dell, if you look at it this way, if the league forces the team to have an empty stadium, I think that's what we're navigating toward here. So we'll see something like that. Atlanta United, Tom says Shonday threw a little shade at Miles over the weekend. Did not see it. Okay, Kefsey with the racism counter stickers. Okay, cool. Thank you for the heads up on that, Kefsey. And Hutch. Yeah. Hutch with the one-liners this morning. I'm glad Hutch has the one-liners lined up on a Monday. Mickey's looking at the SUNY side of life right now, apparently. Very nice. That's a good one. Okay. So that was an eventful hour number one. Literally, we talk about Miggy possibly going to the league that we neither condone or endorse, or we and we talked about stupidity down here. By the way, all right, before we have other stuff starting in hour number two, apparently Jerry World is going to undergo a $300 million upgrade for the world competition coming to Dallas in 2026. Our friends at WFAA TV had the story, and literally, they're going to raise the floor at Jerry World and almost turn it into like the Memorial Auditorium at Vanderbilt. They're going to raise the floor something that looked like 12 feet. And I guess they're going to put tarps on those first 5 or 6 rows, currently where the football field is standing. But they're going to renovate for $300 million. They're going to renovate for $300 million in a $1.3 billion facility just so they can house the World Cup. Dell, I know you haven't had your Celsius yet. Like I said, I've had literally, as you guys have seen, I have not gone to my cup once in hour number one. I have not gone to my cup once. That's how fired up I am about all this nonsense. No, apparently Tom has found. Tom is on Instagram. It's on Miles's Instagram account, and Shonday linking Derek Etienne, Tristan Mouyenbaugh, and Clement Diop. Shonday goes captain with 2 laughing emojis. Okay, I believe that's a little shade. Yeah, Dell, I do in the mornings. I'm not a coffee person, and literally, I'm to the point now with Mountain Dew that I just drink it for the taste. I could have this and fall straight to sleep. Literally, I can't. If I'm doing a long drive, this will not help me. I have to go next step up. I have to go to the kickstarts. Sorry, crying emoji. Okay, it's a crying emoji. So it's an emoji. So 2 crying emojis. So maybe he was crying laughing. I don't know. So it's 2 crying emojis. But yeah, I have to go to the kickstarts when I'm driving now. Yeah, I have to go to kickstart if I'm driving distance. I can't just do straight mountain anymore. It is the beginning of hour number 2. And we know what that means on a couple of different levels. And we will go over the grades of Camp Cupcake because of something that happened in San Antonio. And I'll give San Antonio a lot of credit because at Toyota Field, they had a boatload of folks. They had a boatload of folks there. It was sold out, and it was very, very cool to see in a very, very frigid environment. And so since it is now 10 o'clock, I'll bring Bart in for hour number 2. Welcome back. How was your week at the America's Mark?
I am very tired, John. Very tired.
You had Real World for an entire week, and now that you're back, we figured what we would do is discuss things with you this morning that have to do with your other vocation. And starting off with with Camp Cupcake. We do have some reffing down here that I wanted to get into, and if there was anything else that I missed involving reffing or Camp Cupcake. Starting off at 30,000 feet, it was a great idea to have it in San Antonio in 30-degree weather, where it was a sold-out crowd, but it was a 1-0 loss from 30,000 feet against Slovenia. What'd you think?
Well, John, not good. Let's just put it that way. I think to the first thing you mentioned, though, I love that U.S. Soccer put this in a location that was a little out of the normal, right? You put it in a USL stadium. Obviously, when they planned this, they didn't expect a polar Arctic wind snap, whatever we're calling this particular frigid air temperature coming through. But I think that is a positive, right? And San Antonio, the Spurs organization, tried to make a big deal out of this. Unfortunately, they made a big deal out of a match that was completely useless, and if not useless, actually damaging to the future of this team, because you had a coach who decided that he was going to play players who have no business being on the national team in the future, instead of trying to discover more about young players who should be getting time and experience heading into the Olympics and could be providing depth in a more real sense in the future of the national team. And instead, he started Brian White, which makes zero sense. He's a terrible national team player. I don't want to see him ever again. I'm sorry, I'm coming with the hot takes this morning. But the dude has been marginally serviceable at MLS level. Okay, sure, he scored more goals than Duncan McGuire this year. He's also about 4 years older and has been in the league for a lot longer and played more games than Duncan McGuire. Yet we're starting Brian White for Lord knows what reason, to watch him do absolutely nothing except for one good pass. And that's just that kind of set the stage, John, for this entire match. It's just, why did we even do this if we're not going to try to build the pool and work toward the future? Because Brian White is not the future. Shaq Moore, not the future. I'm sorry, they're just not. And Sean Zawadzki, not the future. I'm sorry, they're just not the future of this national team. They proved that on Saturday, and yet here we had to watch 90 minutes, well, 60 minutes in some cases, of them attempt to be a decent soccer player against a weakened Slovenia squad.
All right, so Brooks Lennon, when he was asked about it at Atlanta United Media Day, was told that this particular squad was put together to focus on getting ready for the Olympics. And
yet Shaq Moore is starting and playing 60 minutes. DeJuan Rose plays all 90. But yeah, sure. Okay, lie to us again, Greg Berhalter. Sure.
So then if what Brooks said is the case, and we take Brooks at face value, and your anger at the same face value, then legitimately who should not have even been on this roster in the first place, and was, because there would be no way that they would have been a part of the Olympics discussion. Who would not have been Olympics eligible anyway, but was still available in San Antonio? Who was not age appropriate here?
Who is not age appropriate in this game?
Yeah, who is not age appropriate? If Camp Cupcake was getting ready for the Olympics, if that was part of what Brooks
Brian
said,
White.
Okay.
The man has never played for the U.S. before, yet suddenly gets his first cap in a meaningless January friendly that should be focused on youth development and getting ready for the Olympics. He's not age eligible. He doesn't even be a part of the discussion when it comes to being an overage player to begin with. So he's one.
Okay.
Zawadzki, not Olympic eligible. Sure, he had a good season with the Crew, but he wasn't great. Those are two players specifically that kind of stick out as why were they even played. And to an extent, as much as I think he was okay, Tim Tillman, he's not an Olympic age eligible player. He doesn't really add depth to our midfield. His brother's higher on the depth chart than he is. Those are guys who, again, though Tillman looked fine, I mean, he won man of the match on the fan voting. Those were three guys who got a lot of minutes that we could have given to someone who was Olympic eligible, someone who actually has a future with the national team.
Okay. As we always do, and I'll bring in Nick Alifi into the conversation because I'm sure that Nick will be ready to wander in with a couple of haymakers as we go. As we always do when we're talking USMNT, I always like to go to Soccer America and go over the ratings from the match. And this is Wojtala. And here's what Mike Wojtala had for his ratings in the 1-0 loss to Slovenia. Schulte in net gets a 4. Defenders, DeJuan Jones got a 5, as did Miles and Shackmore. Sean Zawatsky got a 3 in his first cap. Midfielders, Timothy Tillman in his first cap, Josh Atencio in his first cap, each got 4s. Aiden Morris got a 4. At forward, Diego Luna gets a 6. Brian White gets a 4. Bernard Kamungo got a 3. Substitutes, McGlynn, McGuire, Tolkien got 4s. Bayrak Terovich got a 6. And because, I guess, with the number of minutes, Caleb Wiley and A.Z. Jackson got no ranking. Was any of that close to what you were thinking, Bart?
I think Schulte was a little hard done by that. I thought he actually did all right in his first real appearance. And that's the guy who this camp makes a lot of sense, right? Had a really good showing in MLS this season with Columbus. An Olympic age eligible goalkeeper, a young goalkeeper who's starting for his club, playing fairly well. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's already in the top 3 depth chart of the senior national team, but he's the type of guy that makes sense. Everyone else, sure, yeah. I mean, I don't think there was anyone who had a great performance. I do think that the players who came in as subs in around the 60th minute clearly elevated the game, and so to give them 4s, while you also gave Aiden Morris, who refuses to actually be good at a consistent level, only when it comes time for MLS Cup is he good. But those players, I think, outperformed Aiden Morris, and it's a little unfair to them to get the same rating as only good in MLS Cup Aiden Morris.
Nick on Camp Cupcake, go.
Well, I mean, what is there to say about Camp Cupcake? I mean, here's one thing I would say is that the U.S. men's national team, take a lesson from us, right? Take a lesson from Italy that, it's like, oh, well, this game didn't mean that much, or it meant everything, look, you've got to, every time you put on the kit, and I'm not putting this all on the players, right? I'm putting this also on Berhalter, but there has to be a sense of urgency for the U.S., right? There has to be. And for Berhalter, there needs to be a sense of urgency. And I don't care that he got the job a second time. Good for him. But perception is reality. And the more this fan base starts saying, hey, look, we thought you were inept before. We know you're inept now. You're going into a home World Cup. Every win counts. Momentum counts. Momentum means something, even in the meaningless, stupid games. Mm-hmm. And so you have to show up and you have to show out, or you will end up like us, Italy, where you find that when we need to generate momentum, we can't, because we didn't do anything beforehand to prepare ourselves for it. We didn't prepare with a sense of urgency. We didn't take care of the things that need to be taken care of. We didn't sharpen iron with iron. And if you want to go with a football Americano viewpoint of it, remember when the Indianapolis Colts would get to be 11-0, 12-0. And then they would bench their starters for 3 or 4 games in a row to keep them safe for the playoffs. What would happen? They'd go in the playoffs and they'd get beaten because they didn't have that sense of urgency toward the end. And that can happen now. And Berhalter needs to get his pleated khakis a little muscled up. He needs to get himself a little crankier, a little angrier, and he needs to drive these players, these guys who are 4th and 5th and 6th on the depth chart, and say, look, if you clowns want a chance to be on the starting roster for World Cup, you better start showing me something now. And if you don't, you're going to be relegated to the damn dustbin. It's just my 2 cents on it. Do what you want to do.
Well, and Nick, two points to that. One, I think you're right of the urgency. What frustrates me is it seemed like Greg pointed out the goals of this camp were about youth development, looking at Olympic age eligible players, which is great. Like that, obviously that is an immediate goal this year. But then he doesn't work toward that goal with his starting lineup. So there's one strike against him. The other strike is dude's lost 2 games in a row. And we can talk about the fact that, yes, we lost in Trinidad because Serginho Dest blew a gasket, but he still lost 2 games in a row. Yeah, he's lost 3 since he came back as coach. So urgency. You have a Copa America coming up. What player out there today or on Saturday looked like they were playing with the urgency to make a Copa America roster? I'll give you one name. His name is Esmir Bajakarovic. That's it. Everyone else looked passive, looked disinterested almost in actually trying to make a squad for the summer. Especially that starting lineup. That to me, you're right, Nick, is the urgency. Where was the urgency? Where was it? Schulte looked like he was trying to play his way into a potential starting position, albeit with the Olympic team. Bajakarovic looked like he actually wanted to put his stamp on the game. But like even guys like Diego Luna struggled to truly find himself in the game. Part of that's because he's playing out left, like Greg Berhalter loves to do with all of his creative players. But it was a lack of urgency and a lack of I don't want to say that they didn't take it seriously, but they did not take the opportunity to its maximum potential in this camp. And that's what this camp is supposed to be, is for young, unlooked players to show out. And the fact that no one really did, except for an 18-year-old who barely starts for a revolution, is a little upsetting.
All right. Maddie as we bring Jared into the conversation, Maddie has found some post-game comments from 3GB, quote, disappointed not to win the game, disappointed not to get any result in the game, obviously. But overall, when I'm looking at the stats, it's a performance that I would think good enough to get something out of the game.
But we didn't, Greg. We didn't. Mr. Berhalter, sir. You can talk about stats all you damn well please, but at the end of the day, when you didn't score a goal, Slovenia had more shots on target than we did. So you can talk about stats and shots and possession. Slovenia had 4 shots on target, our 3. That means to me they're getting in better chances. They're getting in better positions to score. Sorry.
Jared, Bart.
Greg, I'm tired of it. I'm just like, stop telling me about stats when you're losing to frickin' Slovenia.
In a Camp Cupcake situation where you didn't even have everybody that was supposed to be part of it.
They didn't have everyone. That's not an excuse.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Jarrett, Bart's kind of fired up this morning about the loss to Slovenia before we get into reffing down here.
Well, I mean, it is embarrassing. This is a game you're not supposed to lose. You are supposed to be at a standard above that. And I understand, like, the whole idea was you came in with a bunch of guys who could push, and as you guys recounted, push with the Olympic side of things. But the lineup didn't really reflect that, and it just kind of seemed like it was stuck in the mud. And if I want a manager who's going to get up there after a game and tell me that I thought we were the better team, I'd just hire Caleb Porter.
Well, something to think about here. Look at, when you're going into a situation where you have the Olympics, you have the World Cup, coming down the road, other federations are not even paying attention to you. Historically, the U.S., right? They're like, oh, they're kind of scrappy. Okay, great. But we're going to steamroll.
Scrappy stars and stripes.
Right. And it's not one of those things where, well, we're going to take them by surprise. That's some Arthur Smith's ass thinking right there. We're going to shock them. We're going to suck really big. And then whenever it comes tournament time,
we're going to third string tight end throw a pass to your second string tight end while you're starter.
Yeah, pretty much. And what you're going to have, though, is you need to show people now, like, hey, look, what's happening coming up is deadly serious, right? The World Cup is on our turf. And, the starters weren't there, Nick. Okay, great. But half of the starters that were on the first senior team roster now may not even be playing for you come the World Cup, because this is going to be shocking. It's not ultimate team in real life. when players lose form, players get injured, things happen. I don't know. Somebody goes to a bar mitzvah and has a chair dropped on their head. Who knows? They don't make the tournament. But in the end, you need to have quality depth ready to go. And you need some savages on that fourth string and that third string who are like, I'm gunning for the top spot. I don't care who's right wing. I don't care who's left. I don't care who you are. Christian Pulisic, buckle the blank up because I'm coming for your roster spot. That's the attitude you need. And Greg Berhalter does not foster that environment. Greg Berhalter is running like daddy daycare or something. I don't know. They're watching Coco Melon. They're getting some juice boxes, some orange slices. And if you want to end up, like some of us who are desperate to even just qualify for the World Cup, by all means, keep this same energy because you're going to end up like us. And I say us, I say Italy, whether we are, winning the Euros, winning the World Cup, or whether we're not qualifying. Okay. I have no dog in your fight, but I can, as an outside observer, say, this is how stagnancy develops. This is how it happens, right? You're going to end up in your own little Sargasso Sea of mediocrity, thanks to Captain Khaki. It's up to you guys if you want to keep moving on with that. And I hear you, Bart. If you are a U.S. men's national team fanatic, I don't see how you can be fired up for what Berhalter brings. National teams should reflect the culture of the country they're playing for. And right now, it is very reflective of the American culture. It's very corporate. It's cold and soulless and just plodding along. So if that's the energy you want, baby, keep it.
Yep, Harry was there. He says it was tough in the crowd of 91-91. Not a lot of excitement until the end. No pressure on the defense. No ideas on offense. No real shocks there. We're at the halfway point of the segment. And let me get into Bart. Anything else you want to wrap up before we head into reffing down here?
This was a missed opportunity of a camp, and we don't have. Greg even talked about this in his midweek presser, taking advantage of every opportunity when we get together, and he blew it. This is on Greg. And again, you've lost 2 in a row now. You've lost 3 of your 7 that you've come back to coach. And your options now, our Nations League isn't going to be. You win Nations League, I'm going to go, great, cool. You won Nations League again, like you should be, right? We're not expecting you to be the best in CONCACAF. We're expecting you to go out there and be one of the best in the world. And right now, I don't see him building toward that.
All right, reffing down here. First thing that I wanted to get into with reffing down here this week was Ivan Toney. And Ivan Toney was either being vilified or everybody was sitting there going, good piece of gamesmanship by you. Thank you, Del. The Jared Bowen tackle also in the Sheffield United game. We want to get into that too. First and foremost, so for reffing down here, the topics are going to be Ivan Toney, Jared Bowen, Mikey Magnon. Those are the 3 topics for reffing down here. Reffing down here, we'll start with Ivan Toney. Ivan Toney was pulled down for a foul just outside the penalty area, just outside the 18. Magic spray goes down. Ball is placed alongside the magic spray. Ivan Toney pulls the magic spray, some of it up, puts the magic spray down off to the side, probably about a good 6 inches to the right of where he was spotted, moves the ball to where his placed magic spray was, and then scores off of his reset location on the set piece. What did you think about that piece of gamesmanship by Ivan Toney, as a lot of folks were up in arms about it?
Well, no one saw it, so good for him. But when the laws of the game talk about where the ball is supposed to be taken for a free kick, it's supposed to be taken at the spot of the foul, but any referee will tell you that spot of the foul is a very subjective and approximate term.
Okay.
So, I think there's a little bit of, I don't want to say cheating, but for lack of a better word, skirting the rules, if you will. Once the ball is placed, once the ball's placed, we're supposed to be taking it from where the ball's been placed. But hey, he didn't get caught, so if he ain't cheating, he ain't trying.
And you ain't cheating.
He still has to put the ball in the back of the net. He did that.
True. Jarrett, go.
Yeah, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. I would advise anyone to go YouTube, pull up highlights of the 2018 MLS Cup final. Go to the second half, where Atlanta United scores their second goal. I want you to look at where that foul was committed on the left side, and I want to let you to look at where it is taken. Atlanta moves that ball back a couple of yards to create a better angle. Like, them moving the ball, players moving the ball is a thing that happens pretty frequently with those. How many times do we see, like, someone commits a foul in the open field? Sometimes, and I know this is also to referees, discretion to police it, but how many times do we see someone fouled in the middle of the field on a transition, if it's not a card, where they will get up, put the ball won't even stop rolling. They'll halfway stop it, kick it off, and go again. I mean, you can break these things down. I mean, how often do we see on throw-ins, like where someone takes a throw-in 10 yards up the field from where they were, or their toe touches the line? You want to really police this stuff. You can really police it, but we're all going to be more miserable for it.
Mm-hmm. So that's what you're staring at. So gamesmanship accepted by Ivan Toney, even though there were a lot of folks who were completely and totally up in arms about it.
What's the dark arts? Deal with it.
Look for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the dark arts. I don't know. If it was your person, you'd be thrilled. It's come on, man. Yeah.
Yes.
Internet gonna internet. This this has been happening since the game began. I don't understand why. If the ref doesn't catch it, that's fine. I'm sorry. I grew up with 80s WWF, WWE. Come on, man. This is some Ric Flair eye poke. This is the chop to the groin. This is nothing new, man. I mean, come on.
Nick, we are children of the Eddie Guerrero era.
Yes.
We are. Yes,
absolutely.
Listen, I'm a child of baseball in the 90s, so don't talk to me about cheating and skirting the rules.
That's right.
Arriba la raza.
Look, I still firmly believe that if I were commissioner for a day, anyone who gets selected for the home run derby, we're going to select it early enough so you can do a cycle, whatever drug you want. You want a horse tranquilizer, you want whatever they were putting in Rocky 3 in the Russian.
Rocky 4, baby. Rocky 4.
Rocky 4.
If you eat whatever you want to put in Rocky 4, you want a horse tranquilizer, you want whatever you want, you get a cycle of it for the home run derby. I want you hitting the ball as far as humanly possible. I want you going absolutely mad, and I will forever die on the hill that telling me that you won't put a bunch of these guys from the 90s like Barry Bonds in the Hall of Fame, but you're going to put Bud Steeling in the Hall of Fame, who oversaw all of it and allowed all of it. Get the hell on.
If I played professional sports, I'd be looking like a 5'5" Angus steer. I would be so jacked up on droids, it would be absurd. I mean, I don't. And oh my God, it is a cheat, baby. I'm looking at paychecks. You could talk about when you were in your whatever domicile you are in, whether it's a cardboard box or a McMansion, and you're looking at your baseball cards, you could say whatever you want, asterisk, whatever you want, because I'm going to have residuals because I was sitting there getting juiced to the gills. And if I need to move a line to get a free kick in the right spot, if I need to take them roids to get all, Ultimate Warrior in the middle of a game, baby, I'm doing it.
Ultimate Warrior who was gassed as he ran to the ring every night.
Absolutely.
Every night.
And if one of the sports writers ever came to me, why did you do it? Well, I reset the market on the price for my position last time I signed a contract. That's why I did it. There you go.
Yes.
That's a simple answer.
Because if it's, and think about it, if you're a player and you have in your contract and okay, Del, we'll get off baseball because this is sports contracts in general. There are kickers that come into play, right? there are incentives that you meet. Like if you score X number of goals or X number of assists, you get X amount of dollars. And if I need to move a line a half a foot to a foot to make sure that I get my money, I'm moving the line because I'm getting my money. I'm going to meet the criteria to make that kicker, opt into my favor. So, I mean, we can either live in a real world or we can live in the children's world, and this is a game, but there's a lot of big money. Now it's business. It's no longer a game. It's all business, especially when I have a contract. So.
All right, Bart, Jared Bowen, red card. Jared Bowen, no penalty call against Sheffield United. Penalty or no penalty?
I can deal with no penalty.
Okay.
I think is where I land on that.
Okay.
I can live with that.
Okay. Then with
there were other penalties in the game that looked. I understand that's why I think people's view of that is colored a little,
Yes.
But
you've outraged Dell down in Charleston.
Yeah. Sorry.
All right. So last handful of minutes here, and we're probably going to end up bleeding into a little bit of Prem and Proper, the review. But I wanted to discuss the Mikey Magnon situation that I went berserk on in hour number one. Magnon, once again, racist chants, once, twice, three times. And they finally, after the third time, Magnon had enough. And this is where I'm going to kind of yield the floor to Nick when it comes to more background info and all this kind of stuff. This is not the first time it's happened with Magnon. But when it comes to dealing with idiots on parade, once again, we've got a lot of folks who are sitting there and saying things need to change. But once again, it was another situation of abuse in Serie A with a keeper that should never happen.
So it's around December. Serie A posted a job opening for a content creator, someone who loves Serie A, who could create content. And I think I checked both of those boxes pretty solidly.
I think so.
I was really excited about it. Had people, hey, look, man, message this guy, let him know that I would like this gig. Even though it was supposed to be based out of New York, I was going to try to pitch it to where I could still work out of Atlanta and, make this content happen. And as I went to go fill out the application for it and get my resume tailored up for it, I thought about what happens when something really stupid like a racist chant happens and I've got to explode on it. And instead I got to go out and pitch like, the toothless, gutless graphic that says Serie A stands against racism. Mm-hmm. And really what I want to say is you freaking idiots got to do something so no one could say, io non capisco inglese. Non vogliamo parole. Non vogliamo parole. Vogliamo azioni. Okay? That's crystal clear Italian, so even those morons can understand it. How am I supposed to promote a league and supposed to talk about the greatness of a league when you have one of your most diverse teams in Milan going to Udinese, which is a northern Italian team? Udine is a beautiful part of the country. It's not like it's isolated, like some kind of backwater. And you still have this happening. And it's toothless, gutless words because no one's doing anything about it until you start taking away points, until you start relegating these teams, put them in position to where, oh my God, I'm going to miss out on Champions League because of what? I'm going to miss out on Europa League because of what? We're going to be relegated because of I mean, that's it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know what else to tell people. Like, why should I promote your league? Why should I, as a content creator, sign on to work for you and get. I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to have this up for the Davy Award because this is bullshit.
No, we just run the explicit rating. It's all right.
I mean, that it's absolute horseshit that we have to sit here and continue to have these conversations because you have someone who is just trying to do their job in Mikey Magnon. And I'm not saying this because I'm no, it doesn't matter. I'm tired, whether they are wearing blue and black, white and black, red and black, or any other color, and they go and they get subjected to monkey chants. Mm-hmm. You know, and then have people say, well, you don't understand our culture. I do understand your culture. I would reckon to say I understand it better than most. And I will also say that, you know, the game, there was a stoppage in the game. Great. You know, good. I'm glad that the Milan, you know, players rallied around their guy. You know, I've looked at a lot of the venom that has been taking place on social media directed toward Udinese supporters. And well, it's just a few. Well, you know what? I grew up in Paulding freaking County. And because of that, I get painted with a nice big broad brush that I'm 2 steps short of wearing a white hood because of the idiots I grew up with in Paulding County. And I know firsthand what it is whenever you don't fit the mold of what people think, right? You don't fit the stereotype, right? Mm-hmm. Well, it's just a few bad apples. Okay, you go to the grocery store and you find that bunch of apples that have a few bad ones in there and a one that has far fewer bad apples. In fact, it looks pretty damn good. And you let me know which one you're going to pick up. So I'm tired of promoting this league. I'm tired of telling people that Serie A is the league to watch. This is why I've been largely starting to check out of big time athletics. Because it's more about chasing the dollar. We don't want to scare off the Udinese supporters. We don't want to shut off a curva. We don't want to do because what'll happen? You know what? A vast majority of your marketing dollars, because you freaking nimrods have screwed up your TV deal so many times, comes from guess where? The United States. And if you think that ad dollars are going to go to support this bullshit ass response, I'm sorry, I got news for you. It ain't gonna happen, and you're gonna get relegated right back down to BN7. And if you want that, by all means, keep it rolling. And yes, I will go to USL Championship because at least down there you're gonna have owners and supporter groups who will take these idiots out of the parking lot and handle them right. And that's what needs to happen. The ultras need to come in and be like, all right, you're going to mess with our points. You're going to mess with our money. Now we're going to police this. When the police won't police it, we will.
There you go. Bart, you had it easy this week, my friend.
Yeah, I guess.
What's going on with Soccer for US POD now that you're in the real world?
Well, we will be recording an episode tonight about the match that happened Saturday. Okay. We'll see how much of that we actually talk about, and how long this episode is, and if we actually talk about constructive things or just rant. So that's what's going on there. And as we look forward to the Women's Gold Cup in February, and hopefully a roster coming out relatively soonish.
Okay. All right. So thanks for coming by, and thanks for being the guide as you always are. And as you well know, we will be promoting Soccer for US POD and all the other fun stuff that's going on. So thanks for coming on and enjoying your first day back. We eased you back in.
Yeah, quite easy. Everyone be good, have fun, and remember that soccer is just a game.
Yes, as always. So there goes Bart. And now it is time to bring in Maddie, as Drew has been pacing back and forth. He's been pacing and pacing and pacing. So no, it's been fun. Nick's on a roll. So it is now time for Prem and Proper, the review. So Drew is here. Maddie is now in. Maddie's been very, very busy this morning. Jared is here. I'm here, and Nick is here. And we've been Drew. I know that this is kind of a hit and run for you as always.
Yeah.
What is this about going over across town to grab somebody for your front office?
Hey, look, if you can't beat them, force them to join you, right?
I mean,
Let-
nothing like going across town. I mean,
no,
you
I hear you. Listen, I want to apologize in advance. I couldn't find my the conference room that I'm usually in, so I'm not going to be my loud
he's in
self.
a
So if you can't hear me, I apologize.
he's in a library. He's in a library or an office building, one of the two.
Listen,
So,
Omar Barada,
uh-huh.
it wasn't Blanc like I was hoping. Listen, if you're going to go poach a CEO from a club, I don't think there's a better CEO to poach than Omar Barada. The standards are there. He's not gonna sign an Anthony Martial on a 5-year extension at 250K a week to not play. It's very exciting times for the red side of Manchester, which I don't get to say too much.
When it comes to the activities of the week, we got into Ivan Toney a little bit, and we can take this one of two ways. Ivan Toney comes back, and it's almost like the dude never left.
Ivan Toney's in his villain era is all I'm gonna say. He really came back with a vengeance. I mean, you talked about it a bit too in reffing down here. I mean, him moving the free kick and just getting that goal in the free kick. I mean, you couldn't write it better, honestly, for his return. I mean, I think I went into to FootMob to look at some more of the stats for that game, and he's listed as player of the match, and he got a goal in like the first 19 minutes of the game. So I mean, you can't write it better, you know? It's just he's back, he's here, and I'm excited to see what happens with the team going forward. It's going to be interesting to watch.
Until he gets sold for $100 million and Brentford makes out like bandits. I'm just going to open the floor to topics. We talked about Ivan Toney, and if you're not cheating, you're not trying. Drew, what else is on your mind this week?
I want to add a little bit more to the Ivan Toney return. It wasn't just Ivan Toney return, but they also had Ben Mee come back from suspension as well. And I don't know if you guys watched the game. I watched almost pretty much all of it. And we've had goals of the year, contenders or whatnot. What are the Puskas Award nominees already? But that Neo Mope goal, the chest, bringing it down from the chest, a half turn volley. It's one of the prettiest goals I've seen in a long, long time. It may not be like what I like to say, may not be sexy, but if you watch the first touch and to bring that down with 2 defenders on his back and 2 passes before that to set up that goal was from Ivan Toney. So just his presence brought so much more spark to that Brentford team. And you could tell that, if he stays, which is looking like he will, I'm not going to rule out Europa League for that club. I'm being serious.
Okay. I mean, they've got a bit of a tall run to make, but we'll see what happens with all of that. I want to circle back to the topic that we talked about initially on the show this morning, and we'll just go rapid fire. And I'm going to just go by staring at the board. Jarrett, Miggy to Saudi Arabia. What do you think?
I need to see if we have a sell-on clause in Atlanta for that, because if you do, then my God,
Uh-huh.
a windfall. Saudi Arabia is going to be a great place for players to go when clubs hit financial troubles. And I got to offload this roster quickly. I got guys with value who I need to get rid of. Well, I'm sending them to Saudi Arabia because I can.
Mm-hmm.
And because I need to not lose points. I don't know, man. It feels like a third of the teams this year are either lost points or they're at risk of losing points.
Yeah. You've got right now Forest and Everton, who right now are staring down that particular barrel. Nick, Miggy to Saudi Arabia.
It's all about money. It's at the end of the day, if you're a player, you have a window in which you can maximize your value. Miggy has already plied his trade in South America. He's plied his trade here in America, made good money up here, was an exceptional transfer for the league, going to Newcastle. I think certainly earned his respect there. But if he has an opportunity to set him and his family up for the foreseeable future by playing in a league that is well below everyone's level of standard, and they're willing to pay him stupid amounts of money to go for it. I mean, is it a choice I would make? I don't know. I don't have that suitcase full of money sitting in front of me, but I would like to think I would not go play for that league. But everyone has got to make their own choices in life. If there is a sell-on clause and Atlanta United gets to profit from it, it is what it is. But this goes to show you that even for a club like Newcastle, which has received all its new funding from one particular source, there is a crackdown now on these kind of cash injection clubs, and you have to do something to maintain some level of fiscal responsibility. And for Newcastle, you made that move for my boy from Milan. That cost you a pretty penny. You're getting nothing out of that. So you have to move the next best assets you have. So Miggy Almiron it is.
Mm-hmm. Maddie, Abby is concerned about you because you had your hands in your just basically. Abby wants to know if you're okay. You okay? The hands in the face bit.
We're vibing. What I wanted to wake up to this morning, I wanted to wake up, look at some soccer news, drink my coffee, have a great morning. That happened. Found out about Miggy, and then obviously the craziness with AC Milan too, because I follow that team as well. It was a morning, and I'm really upset. But I mean, I'm upset, but again, kind of echoing Nick and everyone else. I mean, listen, we don't if he's gonna make some money from it. I mean, props to him, obviously, but I just don't know if going to that league is gonna be good. I don't know. I don't really have words. I don't.
So Drew,
I'm kind of
obviously,
in disbelief.
So Maddie's in disbelief. Drew, Miggy possibly heading to Saudi Arabia. The team that he is heading toward is not one of the four currently that is attached to the PIF. But obviously, Newcastle needing to shed some pounds, and I mean that in both the financial and the figurative sense. For your last shot this morning, now of course that you've settled into a conference room and you've gotten all settled.
I'm good now.
Yeah, now that you're good, it's time for your parting shot. What are you staring at? What other news was part of your weekend in the Prem that you wanted to get into before you have to go back into the real world this morning?
It's when he speaks, everybody listens. He being Cristiano Ronaldo, and over the last 18 months, there hasn't been much that I have really wanted to agree with him with, because he's just an overinflated egomaniac prima donna. And yeah, he's kind of been that for a long time, but so much so since he's gone to the Saudi League. But he won that global award over the weekend, and what he said, I could not agree more. There is no reason Lionel Messi should win any awards for the year of 2023.
Wow.
Numbers don't lie. The stats are there for a reason. And, Ronnie was on a soapbox this weekend. And like I said, I don't tend to agree when people like that get on a soapbox, but he's right. He's right. Erling Haaland should not have walked away with anything other than all the awards that you could have won in 2023. This Messi love affair has to come to an end in world football. It's an absolute joke. Let's see you win an MLS title with your Barcelona boys this year. And when he wins the MLS championship, which it's probably looking like he will, let's see how many awards he gets from world football then. But Ronaldo's right. He's so right. If you're going to have these stats, if you're going to have numbers, let's go by them. Let's go by them, and let's let this love affair kind of fade into the distance. And listen, he's on that same road as well. He left to go to the Farmers League where he scored 50 goals, 40 of them are penalty kicks, which is fine. That's great. Miggy Almiron is too young to go to that league. Look at Jordan Henderson. Look at Karim Benzema. They want to come back. You're not everybody's making $100 million like Ronaldo, Benzema, and Neymar. And so I use this term a lot. Grass ain't always greener on the other side. And Newcastle is the reason they're in this situation. It's because of themselves. and to have to give up one of your hottest, youngest players, and not to mention Kieran Trippier maybe on the way to Germany, who's arguably their best player right now. So Premier League had a chance to vote, and they did vote, and the clubs kind of favored into John. I know you mentioned that it's not one of the clubs that the PFI are kind of monitoring now what Newcastle is involved in, but the clubs had a chance to vote, and the majority of the vote was that these Saudi clubs who are owned by Premier League clubs, they can kind of flip flop their players and to come down. And I think it was a bad idea. I think that it should, United was one of the teams that voted against this thing. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Saudi League becomes in the next 18 months, because the China League didn't last very long. And I'm afraid that if, Cristiano Ronaldo's recruiting Casemiro, if you want this league to survive, you can't be, I'm going to use a wrestling term, you can't be WCW in the late 2000s. You have to have youth. You have to adapt, evolve. And I'm going to come off my soapbox. That's it for me.
No,
right.
so I almost mentioned Trippier, but I didn't want to believe that it was true. And then you said it, and I got really upset. Why are we? Why are we? I don't understand. I can't.
Well, yeah.
Well,
man,
Drew nailed it, right? Drew
Yeah.
nailed it with the WCW reference. That was
100%.
absolutely perfect. I mean, you had these dinosaurs, that were coming in, and they were trying to regurgitate the same crap that they were doing 20 years prior, and over time it was like, okay, this is not working anymore, and their company folded because of it, right? The dinosaurs had too much power. There was nothing new, there's nothing fresh, there was nothing exciting.
Yep.
And as far as Almiron goes, I do hope it's like a Jordan Henderson move. I hope where he goes there, he gets his money and then says, okay, MLS, how we doing? And he comes back and has a few more, he spends his golden years from a career perspective here in America. I think that would be wonderful. But I do think that, to you guys' point on, with what's happening with Saudi and the Saudi-owned teams, and, essentially doing contract shell games with players, I think that's something that is going to, it's already becoming problematic, but it is going to be turning into an inferno before too long, when you have these clubs that were, they're being bought for, what's considered peanuts for some of these Middle Eastern countries. And then they get a tremendous cash injection, but they are quickly discovering that they can't make that money back. Even, when they spend all of these millions of dollars in transfer fees, you still have to get butts in seats. You still have to be able to qualify for these, the European tournaments. And if you aren't doing that, or you don't last in the European tournaments, that cash spigot gets turned off very quickly, and you find yourself in the red. So I don't know what's going to happen with clubs like Newcastle, or even with some of the like they're talking about Milan trying to be bought by PIF now. But in the end, the money is getting too big, too stupid, and that's why I used to be so against Super League, but now, if they want to do that and they want to go spend that stupid, ignorant money, let them go and do their thing. Let the Man United B team be in the Prem. Let the Man City B team be in the Prem, and whoever wants to go to Super League, go to Super League. And because the world is changing now, and you will find people who will pick up on some of these second tier teams and form new relationships. Just look at Wrexham, and you can build new brand identities. You can build new stars if you do it the right way. So let them go and create their own soccer version of the NFL, and the rest of everyone else who needs to be financially compliant, let them operate in a different ecosystem. I don't know, man. I could be on an island on that one, but.
All right, Drew, I know you've got to get back to the real world. What's the latest going on with you? I know we got Prem and Proper coming up on Friday.
Did I do that? Because that's really cool.
That was really cool.
Sweet.
That was
Really
wild. Backlighting,
good.
brother.
Yeah. No. I tell you what, that was really cool. How did that happen? But anyways, look, I'm excited. United back in action this weekend. FA Cup, traveling to South Wales, Newport County. like I said in the 3D on Friday, on paper, it's looking like a win. One thing that I'm most excited about is I expect a full strong 11. I expect Varane and Martinez to be anchoring the defense. I'm hoping Shaw may be back, but I would like to hold him out for a Premier League matchup. But I expect Casemiro, Kobe Mainu, and Bruno Fernandes to main that midfield. And I'm licking my chops. It is the midfield that I've wanted since August. We haven't been able to see it not once. And I think it's a perfect opportunity to see what that little midfield three can do. And of course, the most hated man in the city of Manchester, Marcus Rashford, the only reliable goal scorer in the last 3 or 4 years. I just don't get how he's just so hated on. And yet Saka for Arsenal has gone on a spree where he hadn't scored many goals. But you see all these other clubs back their young up and coming players. Not United fans. Those fickle fans want to crap on anything and everything bad. Even when the kid scores and assists in one game, he's the worst player on the team. It's just confusing to me. But I'm very excited to see a new 11. It's like new signings coming back. So it could be a fun weekend. I say United put 4 or 5 on Newport County this Sunday.
Yeah, they darn well better for your own sake. That is Dickinson JR 18 on the 280 character app. Drew, as always, my friend, thanks for coming by. For Prem and Proper, the review, we will be listening to you on Friday.
Have a good week, guys.
Because
girls.
Because you in a holding cell is too sweet.
Just having this entire conversation reminding me of watching the WCW ruin their entire existence with all these old guys. Meanwhile, letting one of the best cruiserweight stables of the last 40 years just languish away.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, that's what they were good at. That was what they were good at. Nick, when it came to like I said, we spent most of our number one talking about Miggy and Saudi Arabia and the PIF and that particular league. And we also spent a lot of time on stupidity down here. Let me ask this. And all of the words that came across from every governing body were hollow. FIFA came out with their statement, and I read it with the disdain it should have been dripping with when it was being put out as a 5-paragraph essay. What do we do? Let me wrap on a philosophical question this morning. What do we do when you have what happened with Mikey Manuel, when you have what happens as a weaponizing of a chant with El Tree specifically? If you were Grand Exalted Poobah of everything soccer, how would you either slow this down or stop it? So that'll be the question for everybody.
You get a match stoppage. If you get a match stoppage because of racism, it's an automatic 6-point deduction.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you get because a 3-point deduction is bad, right? It's a loss. You can, that's fine. But if you get a 6-point deduction, now to me, it's money, right? So either I can hurt you in your bank account or I can hurt you in your point standings, right? So if I could take money from you, that's fine. But then I think you would see sort of what they call false flag. I even hate that term, but but for me that it's so identifiable now because the ultras are not going to Roma ultras know who the Lazio ultras are. They're not going to let them infiltrate the ultra groups. They're just not. Curva Nord and Curva Sud are not going to mix and intermingle. To me, it's cut and dry. It's the only thing these idiots understand now is money. And if I rob you of your place in Europe, right? And if you 6 points per stoppage, and if you get a certain number of stoppages from a league perspective, I'm blocking you from Europe. That's it. And if you're one of these lower tier teams, a certain number of stoppages, you're getting relegated. It's the only thing you idiots understand. So that's fine. If you are Salernitana and you're desperately trying to stay up, guess what? You're relegated now. Congratulations. Maybe tell your fans not to be idiots. And you have to do the knife fight to get your way back up. And that's the only thing I think is gonna work. That's it.
Maddie, what do you think?
I like the point deduction. I think because for a while it was you get a warning. And then after the warning, then the game pauses. And then after the game pauses, that's the third one, then the whole game gets suspended. At this point, no one's learning from that. We've seen it in so many other games when that has happened. Fans still do it. They're still going to do it. And then it's like, it doesn't teach anybody anything. And especially with the clubs as well. I like the point deduction. I think that needs to happen. It doesn't need a 3-point. I like the 6-point. And I mean, I think if it's even something bigger, I mean, relegation or even more points at maybe 10. Because this shouldn't be happening anymore. This is ridiculous that it even is happening. Like when I was watching the US men's national team game and I got this notification and I was like, no way. This can't be happening. And I texted John. I was like, no way. I was like, this isn't real.
Yep.
It's one of those things too where it's like, how much of it can you relegate to, you know? Because like you can't stop people who are just horrible. You just can't. Like that's just an issue as well. So maybe if you start taxing the teams, maybe this shit will stop. But
Jarrett,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't.
Jarrett, Maddie seems nonplussed. What about you?
You get tired of it after a while, and that's the danger of all of it. Because when you just get tired of having to deal with the same kind of story over and over again, you just kind of get tired of fighting it. It's a dangerous place to be because then you don't fight as strongly going forward sometimes, and you can't be that. You have to honestly just have more endurance in the fight than the people do.
And that was why, sadly, I took most of hour number one and wanted to talk about all this kind of stuff because it's important and it's something that we've always done here is we haven't, because we have the time to do it, we've never shied away from the topic. And it's something that always has to be hammered because, to your point, Jarrett, if we stop talking about it, then it's tacit acceptance.
Yeah, it's passive acceptance. Also, Blackburn Rovers just put Joey Barton in the nether realm.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Cool.
Joey Barton has decided he has taken up the he has followed what happens in the United States with some athletes, and he has decided that bad press is better than no press, and has decided to embrace the grift. Yeah. The English clubs are now just firing at Joey Barton to all of our joy. If you want a good old read on this, and I think Nick and I have talked about this before, years ago, it must have been 10 years ago now, Wright Thompson over at ESPN wrote a wonderful piece about Italian soccer when Balotelli was still like the truly unhinged Balotelli. Like, my favorite moment still being in the World Cup against England, where like he was at some super tight angle, and then he tried from like 20 yards away at a super tight angle to chip the keeper, and everyone was just staring at the English defense like, why would you back off? You know he's going to try it. You know he's that insane. And he was that insane. But Wright Thompson wrote a great piece where he kind of explored through Italy and talked to fans, and got an idea of not just groups but individuals of where all this comes from, especially in Italy, with the way they treated a guy like Balotelli, who was born in Africa, came over to Italy and strongly identified as Italian. He wanted to be accepted. That's what he believed. That's how he felt about himself, and what he identified as. He bled those colors. But Wright Thompson's piece was a really good venture through Italy on how people thought, and a lot of it does come back into the whole like groupthink thing. People will say a lot more brave things if they think they got a bunch of people behind their back standing with them. The courage in crowds is a thing, because when their entire section is standing behind them, they're going to do some really really uncomfortable and despicable stuff. But if they're like walking out after the stadium, they're not going to walk up to him and do it to him face to face.
Yeah, because they don't have the courage to do that.
No. Plus, they don't believe it's right. They don't have the courage, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: is that Italy is not that old of a country, and I keep telling people this. Like it went through a number of like city-state periods that lasted for a very, very long time, but Italy as a nation now is very, very young, and so you still have that exceptional level of tribalism that exists. Where even Salvini, who was kind of like the Italian, he was like sort of like he's not like really like the Italian Trump. That was more Berlusconi, but he was like sort of an acolyte of Berlusconi, that sort of hyper nationalist. He wanted to essentially legally divide Italy, where everything south of Rome was its own country. And it goes back to an old racist statement that you heard from a lot of Northern Italians, which is everything south of Rome is Africa. And, that's why whenever, somebody, it's sort of shocked that I'm supporting North African teams, just because like, if you go along my bloodline long enough, you will find that it goes right back to North Africa for me. Alifi is an italicized version of the Arabic word caliph. And so, in Italy is very easy, because there is exceptional record keeping, that how far back you could chase, your bloodline. And mine goes back in Sicily to the year 800, like I'm documented. And so it is in that country, it is all about blood, where you come from, who your descendants are, or who your ascendants were, who comes from where and when and how. And there's always a level of one up, like, oh, you were, I'm from Bolzano, so I'm way more white than you. Like you're Sicilian. Oh, you're a descendant of bandits and thieves, man. Like you might as well be African, and which is crazy, right? But it's just how it is. Citizenship wise, I qualify for dual citizenship, right? If my package is currently with the Italian consulate in Miami, I speak shattered Italian, but according to the Italian government, I just had the ability to just be born in the wrong country, according to the government. And so if that gives you any idea of what Mario Balotelli had to deal with, when you talk about bloodlines and how far things go back, it's just crazy, right? But in the end, and there are people here in the United States who have to make the same damn choice, right? You're going to have to decide what the value of winning is with only people who look like you, and what the value of winning is as a collective, right? As a group, and how much you're going to win, because you're probably going to win a hell of a lot more as a collective, France, than what you're going to get if you, are just saying, hey, look, I'm sorry, it's white people only on this squad. It's just not going to work. I'm sorry. It's just, we can't have black guys on this team because it's just not how we do things. Okay. Watch how much you win. Watch how much you win, and watch how buffoonishly stupid and plain Jane your culture goes. Right. Watch what happens. And Italy's going to have to solve this. Italy's going to have to solve it, because this is going to be kind of a shock to people, but there are a lot of different looking folks from a lot of different corners of the world doing a lot of different things. And the world's a better place when we all work together. That's not some PBS kids crap. That's actual reality, that everything works better when we work together. And the Nazis had the biggest, whitest army that the world had ever seen, and we kicked the living shit out of them. Okay? With a multi-ethnic, multi-background army, we kicked the living shit out of the psycho white people. So I don't know. It seems to me that we could all learn a lesson or two. Just embrace the differences, man. And if you can't, then financially, we don't need to support you. There's nothing saying we have to. There's no contract saying we have to watch Serie A. None. Zero. Not at all. I don't know. Why do I keep watching Serie A? Maybe I need to reevaluate that and just say, you know what, I'm not going to watch it anymore. I don't care how much money CBS is putting behind it.
Well, but I think Nick, to your point and to the point that we've been making this morning, we need to be aware. And if we, if we turn away from things, then we're not keeping an eye on it. I would put that viewpoint to it. If we stop watching something, we become less informed, and that might play into it. I would think
there's nothing that, look, if Italy does a racismo and I'm going to hear about it on Twitter, I'm going to hear about it on Threads, I'm going to hear about it on Instagram, I'm going to hear about it and I'm going to talk about it. That doesn't mean that I have to sit down and watch every ad that is served, because that's where we are now with streaming, especially. Every ad that gets served is accounted. They can see every IP address that is watching that ad. That's the beauty of streaming. Anytime a streaming service says, well, we can't really quantify the number of individuals, that's absolute garbage. They're trying to hide their bad numbers.
You know where it's coming from every single time.
Yes. I used to work at a place that did like media distribution. Every ad was counted. Every ad was counted. And I promise you, if you see a sharp dip and you know what's going on, hey, look, they will make changes. They will make changes. If you let CBS know or Paramount Plus, I'm not watching it anymore because all this racist BS, eventually CBS is going to, or Paramount is going to push back and say, hey, Serie A, if you want to keep this contract that you claim you love, do something. And the Serie A is going to be like, well, we're doing this campaign. No. Do something.
Yeah.
And if the answer is, if they have nothing concrete, great, we're canceling your contract. Go back to BN7.
Yeah.
Let me know how that works for you. You'll be in between Norwegian pickle racing and Slovakian snowball fights. Good luck on that.
No, you gotta chase Pesapalo, which is Finnish baseball, which I can teach you about if you'd like one day. And give you a whole primer for it.
Pesapalo down here is going to be after baseball down here.
I mean, even too, like with like media and stuff now, like you can get news everywhere. So I don't have to sit down and watch that game if I don't want to. And truth be told, I mean, after everything that's been going on, I might not either. Like I'm informed with them a little bit, just because of some of the U.S. men's national team stuff. But I mean, I don't actively watch them. I get most of my news from everything going on there from social media. I mean, it kind of to Nick's point, if you don't sit down and watch the game, and a lot of people start doing that, they're going to start losing money, and then they're going to be forced to do something. And that's honestly the best thing to do for half of these stuff. You take away how much money they're making, and as much as it's so freaking just so like greedy, I mean, it works. They're greedy clubs. They want money.
Mm-hmm.
If you take away their money, then they're going to be forced to do something.
Yeah, the media contract is the top of that pyramid. That's the most money that you would get in any bulk period, more than gate receipts or anything like that.
And here's the thing: I can go on Instagram and I can watch ASD Pacino out of Sicily on Instagram for free. It's a little indoor, futsal team, and they have badass jerseys. They are very responsive on social media, and they have multicultural team. They seem to embrace it, and there's like 12 people in the audience, and I don't care. I'll watch it before I go and watch Sassuolo versus versus Lecce or Torino versus Francavilla in the Coppa Italia. Like there's nothing saying I love Italy, love it, but that doesn't mean I have to go along hook, line, and sinker with. If you love something, truly love something, right? When they talk about your friends and your family, right? Your coworkers, your friends, your family, your coworkers. You could talk to them about your problems. They may give you a little bit of feedback, not much. They're not really going to press you on things. Some decent friends, they're probably going to hold you a little more accountable. your real true friends, your real true family are going to hold you accountable. And they're going to say, I'm telling you, you're screwing up because I love you. I'm telling you, you're going the wrong damn way because I love you. I'm passionate about it because I love you. And I want you to change your damn ways. And at some point, if you don't, I have to protect myself and put distance between myself and your buffoonery. And and that's to protect me and mine. And, I hate this thing of, well, if you love something, you can't critique it. Right. That's very fascist thinking. To love something, you have to follow it with religious devotion. You can't, baby, I'm Catholic as hell. I criticize the Catholic Church all the damn time. And it's because it's something I love and grew up with. We all screw up, right? We all have failings. But with the difference between being progress and not having any progress is the ability to adapt and change and to fix the things that are wrong, right? If you don't want to do that, that's fine. You can go and be relegated to the dustbin of history, have fun with it. But I'm telling you, the world is going one damn direction. Time is going one damn direction, and we are running out of it. Fix your damn self. I say this because I love Italy. I love Calcio. It's what I grew up with. The way some kids grew up with Man United, the way some kids grew up with, I'm old enough now. Some kids are just grown up with MLS, but this is what I grew up with. It's what I love. And we have to be able to call out the failings if we want to make positive change.
Alex, no one's perfect. We've all lived somewhere on the scale of prejudice. The important thing is when you know better, do better. And Alex is spot on, as always, when it comes to all of that. Soccer on TV today. BN has AFCON. BN and BN in Espanol, noon and 3. If you don't have BN, you don't watch all of their stuff, you can catch up with BN, TC for the fans, CDO, Gold TV, Liga 1 Max with our friends at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. Helps out the network, helps them out as well. USA has Monday Night Football, Brighton and Wolves at 2:45. Brighton signed Valentin Barco. That was big. We kept our eye on him. That is huge for them. Great pickup for De Zerbi. ESPN Deportes at 3, Granada and Atleti. Apparently now it is looking more and more like a Thiago Almada to Atleti is not going to happen in this window. Looks more and more like it's going to be Moise Kean on a loan for the remainder of the season. So that is coming out from sources earlier today. Thank you, Tom Russo. From our guy Matteo Moretto at Relevo, and 261,000 followers on the Twitters. So he is saying the option is discarded as of today. If Correa leaves, Almada won't come. So that to me means it might be Moise Kean instead of Thiago Almada this go round for Atleti. Keep an eye on that. Also on the TV, it is a Gold TV at 6 and 8:15, continuing the Serie Rio de la Plata, Liverpool and Colo-Colo, not that Liverpool. Defensor Sporting and Cesar Vallejo at 8:15. BN Connect also has your simulcast of AFCON as well. ESPN Plus has the championship. Granada Atleti and Leganes and Burgos at 2:20. Fox Soccer Plus has Milan and Como and Serie A Femenina at noon. MLSsoccer.com has your continuing FC Dallas and Messi and friends. And Facundo Farias out for the year, but it also looks like they now have a substitute locked in for reinforcements. Pallavicino from River, possibly. Keep an eye on that. Paramount Plus has the second half right now of Qatar and China, Tajikistan and Lebanon in the Asian Championship. 2 o'clock, the Super Copa final, Inter and Napoli at 2 o'clock. Man, that was a big show today. I want to thank all of you guys in the collective, the watchers, listeners, however you're accessing us, for hanging out with us, even as the fourth held up the board and we went into added time, as we sometimes do. Maddie, yeoman work as always, behind the scenes and in front of the scenes, pulling double duty, keeping us on straight. Before we go, have you guys ever seen a player get a card for not shaking the hand of the official?
No.
No.
You're about
Was it?
Apparently that went down.
Where was Drew Fisher working a game?
Turkey, apparently. I'm going to post the video link here, and it's a Men in Blazers link. They found it.
I feel like him or Chris Penso would be the easy bets.
Dickerson for me.
Yeah.
I got one word for that. I got one word, and that's SAWFT. Soft.
I should have brought that up at Bart. I mean, that's...
Yeah. I mean, literally, okay, the way that it works, apparently it was Trabzonspor and Gaziantep. Gaziantep wins in a blowout. Dude offers his hand, and then the center ref offers his, and then as the center ref offers his hand, player just kind of pulls it back and goes to walking, and he got a yellow.
Okay, I just saw the clip. If you're going to do that, though, if you're going to commit that act, it needs to be you pull the hand back and slide the hair on the side of the head like it's 1997.
Absolutely.
If you're going to commit that act, you need to go full retro with embarrassing that official in front of everybody.
Oh no!
You're going to get punished. You might as well go. Oh, this is we're going to get suspended, so we put the principal's car on the roof.
Yeah, I mean that is like straight up Prince Nana from AEW. You sit there and you're like, yep, and then bang, you just pull it back. Maddie's done for the day because she's got like actual work and things. But Jarrett, thanks for hanging out as long as you have, as long as you do. Nick, I'm glad you got to come on because we got to talk about Mikey Magnon and other things. And so we'll do it again tomorrow at 9:05. So for Jarrett, for Maddie, for Nick, for Bart, for Drew, I'm just the host. I'm just John. For everybody here, back at it again, 9:05 tomorrow morning. Thanks for hanging out with us on Soccer's Morning Show, Soccer Down Here. Keep an eye on everything because sunshine is sometimes the best remedy for all the crap that goes on a daily basis. We'll be back at it again, 9:05 tomorrow. Play it safe, everybody. Mucha platial. Since it's the end of the show, that means we get to do this. If I can find it in a timely fashion and then toss to the end of the show. There we go.